They gonna be a good one. Oh, my microphone want to sit still. Man, look, I got a situation going on right now. My water's off, and it's like, man, did I pay the bill? Of course I paid the bill. They out there doing what they doing. They've been working on our street all day long from the morning. This morning, 6 something this morning to 8 plus at night. So that the water's off. But I figured, I said, you know what? What can I do right now intentionally in order to keep my mind off of the problem and focus on the solutions that I already have? Let's figure this part out. So I'm actually in a couple places at once. I'm right here with y'all on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube. And then I'm in my favorite place. I am here on Station Head. And if you want to actually hop on, all you got to do is download the app Station Head. And shoot, man, I am Jared Walker is literally where you'll find me at. But let's go ahead and get this conversation started. So I'm in this situation I didn't ask to be in. I can't go take a bath. I done got my kids good. I done fed everybody. I even cooked up some salmon. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually being intentional with a few things right now, but I've heard it so many times and it has not been proven wrong that disruption follows intention. And the moment you get intentional about what you're supposed to be doing, it seems like everything that was supposed to come your way start coming. And it's funny how that works because, like I said, you doing what you're supposed to be doing, but something that was supposed to come your way is coming. That means whether you saw it coming or not, it was inevitable. That means a part of your process is literally to go through something that you didn't see coming. However, it was always waiting for you. It was always there. Just because you didn't expect it to happen don't mean it wasn't meant to happen and it wasn't going to happen. There are things in life we don't ever see coming, but when it comes, it is what it is. Guess what? You got to deal with it. What is it that's coming to your zone, into your property, into your personal boundaries that you didn't expect to happen? Because I promise you, the moment you get focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, it's always something that's going to come and try to distract you. That's just how it goes. It is inevitable for you to be challenged on the things that you say you desire, the things you say you won't. Like right now, my water is off. And I'm confused. Like, why is my water off? I go outside and all my neighbors, they water off. I cut across the street, they water off. Cut behind me, they water off. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? They said, you got some answers? Well, I'm looking at the people with the answers. How many of you ever literally look at everybody complaining about a situation knowing that all you got to do is go ask the right person? I genuinely don't personally believe that you shouldn't complain. I believe that there are people who you need to be complaining to because they the ones that can actually solve your problem. Like there are people who can actually give you a solution to your situation. And sometimes it's just a matter of being patient. I literally had to walk up the street to ask my man, it's like, yo, so what's the ETA on this water being cut back on? Because I didn't need to ask, did y'all cut it off? All right, man, it's a whole crew. I already know what it is. He told me, oh, it's going to be a few hours. I'm like, then he said it's going to be about an hour. I was like, he must have seen my face because I wasn't going for it. Then he said, well, we're really just waiting on the parts. I said, okay. They waiting on the parts. So that means you don't know when this water getting cut back on. You don't know when these people who did not see any of this coming because you gave nobody any notice. You just got to work. It's like, man, you know what? If this ain't a lesson to learn from, sometimes the things that you need to do are not going to come with a notice for somebody else. You just need to get to work. I mean, there are so many people that would like to be given a heads up, but there are things that you're supposed to be doing that literally kind of like it is what it is. You just literally just got to go do it, and whoever has a problem with whatever consequences that come from it, it just is what it is. And there's nothing that you can do about that as long as you're doing the right thing. Somebody gave them permission to go out there and start digging up and doing all the work that they're doing. Somebody paid for that, and I know it was me because I pay taxes. Well, what if the very things that you pay for with your time are the things that have produced exactly where you are right now? And if that's the case, then the consequences that many of us are dealing with are based on what we have been consistent about. Or, check this out, what we have been neglecting. It's kind of like some bad food in the refrigerator. You can't just leave it in there forever and think that it's never going to stink. You got to get to it and throw it out at some point. Because if it stay in there long enough, it's going to have a smell to it. And it's not pleasant. There are things that we participate in that literally are causing us to go backwards in time and wasting time. Unfortunately, you actually can't go backwards in time. You just literally got to deal with the consequences of not being intentional. So I figured I'd be intentional about my time since they don't cut my water off. I figured I'd go ahead and do something that's worth doing as it pertains to adding value to somebody else. I mean, it may be somebody up right now that needs to hear whatever it is that I have to say. I know it's always somebody that's going through something way worse than me. There's always somebody that's in a situation they ain't asked to be in. I know I am. Not just with this, the water situation. They'll fix that however they're going to fix it. I ain't the only one. All my neighbors ain't got no water right now. So I don't feel like I'm singled out. However, I understand that there are things that people are going through right now and they don't know where they're going to get their hope from. They don't know how it is that they're going to get through the situation that they're going through. They don't know if they're going to wake up and there's going to be money in their account. They don't know if they're going to wake up and be able to leave the hospital. They don't know if they're going to wake up at all. They don't know what tomorrow holds because today has been so bad for them. Yesterday was so hard for them. So maybe somebody needs to hear a message right now that reminds them that, hey, you got this. Like you got this. Whatever it is you are going through right now, there is purpose in your pain. And the purpose in your pain is to produce a perspective for somebody that's outside of yourself, to give evidence to the fact that you have value just by being you. And if you show up to the future with that value that you carrying into the future, guess what? You show up for somebody that you didn't even know you needed to show up for as the person that you are in the process of becoming. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's hard. I've been privately dealing with a lot of things. I don't talk about it on, on these streams and nothing like that, but I got my personal situations and I understand that it's not easy to be struggling internally and challenged internally and everybody thinks that you're okay when you're not. I get it. And if you're not okay, it's okay. Just don't stay that way. Just understand that there's literally joy in the morning. Every time I get to wake up, I wake up and I get to see everything that I didn't expect to see the way that I did. Oh, there's a net in here. Boy, these nets are how you looking crazy. Yeah, so I literally wake up in the morning and I don't know exactly how my eyes are going to be working. That's why, some of y'all see me with these glasses on. Sometimes you see me with them off. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I get to wake up and I get to move around and I'm feeling great. And then sometimes I wake up and I feel like crap. My head is killing me and I don't know what to do. All I got to do is just deal with it. But then I remember that there are people who can't even do that. They can't even make a decision that they're just going to deal with it, how they're going to deal with it. It is what it is for them. And as unfair as that may seem to so many, it just literally is a part of their process. Sometimes a part of your process is becoming somebody that somebody needs you to become. You have to go through the hard stuff. You have to go through the difficulties. You have to be the person that goes through the process that somebody else is afraid to. Why? Because you're the one that has to gain the perspective so that you can shine light on the hopefulness for tomorrow. Sometimes God is going to use you to be the person to show somebody else that they can get through. Just because we don't like what's going on doesn't mean we ain't going to go through it. It's just literally an opportunity for you to grow. If you don't like growth, that's stagnatism. If you want to be stagnant, then that's your choice. But guess what? If you're somebody that has work to do, you don't get to stay there comfortably. Ain't no way in the world you're going to stay stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck exactly where you don't want to be because you think you don't have to do something. You're going to do it. I can guarantee you that. It reminds me of a story in the Bible called Jonah. Everybody know about that story. He got swallowed up by that big fish. He did exactly what it is he didn't want to do because that was a part of the purpose he had to fulfill. Otherwise, he was going to die. Well, what is it that I have to do that I know if I don't do, I might lose my life behind? I know it's plenty of things that I've done and I found out in the future like, oh, wow, I had no clue that what I was doing was literally going to produce this result. I was just going through what I was going through. I had no idea who was watching me go through what I was going through. I had no idea at all. But I also understand that when I am going through undesirable circumstances, I have a choice to make. As a matter of fact, a decision. I have to decide. I have to decide how I am going to respond to the situation. I ain't the only one. It's you too. Whenever you are put in a situation you didn't ask to be in, you have to decide how you are going to respond to that situation. And if you choose to respond to it wisely, then you choose to win. You choose to be successful. You choose to be who it is you are capable of being. And that is an overcomer, someone who conquers whatever it is that is causing them to function within fear. I mean, I've heard false evidence appearing real. I've heard false expectations appearing real. Well, my belief that is another perspective of fear is flooded emotions appearing rational. Sometimes we literally think that we are being rational based off of what we see and how we see it. But the truth of the matter is you're being irrational. Your emotions are flooded. Nothing wrong with emotions. It's just when you have ever seen something overflowing, the thing that you should be overflowing in is something called abundance. But what are you operating in abundance of? Are you operating in an abundance of fear, or are you operating in an abundance of courage, courageousness, bravery, desire for future desirable outcomes rather than assuming that something that you don't want to happen is going to happen? How many times do you have to be proven wrong before you just start accepting the fact that you ain't got the answers, but God does? And if God got the answers, you ain't got to come up with nothing. Just do what you got to do. Focus on what you got to focus on. Stay where you are, because it ain't no point of running. You ain't going to get away. Your situation is what it is, but guarantee everything that you are experiencing right now, if you stick with it with the right attitude, I promise you, the fruit that is meant to be produced out of that is going to be good fruit. It is when you stop, it's when you give up that you stop winning. It's literally when you desire something bad enough and you keep going that you inevitably get that which you are working for. But when you give up, when you stop, when you fail, that's because you gave up and you stopped going. You stopped moving forward. And the funny part about it is the irony. Just because you stop doing the work doesn't mean the work it's not going to be done. You still got to do it. I remember being upset because when I was a kid, I didn't want to clean my room. You ever had your parents come in and tell you, clean this room up, do these dishes, do something. It's something that needs to be clean. And you decided, I'm going on protest. I'm a strike. All right, see how that worked for you. Work out. You knew you still had to clean up, even if you delayed the process. Then inevitably, you was just going to hear somebody's mouth you didn't want to hear. Well, that's kind of how it happens for us as adults as well. The things that we need to do, if we don't hurry up and start getting them done, we still going to hear somebody's mouth. Because no matter what, as you are growing, somebody is always expecting something from you. And it ain't always what you feel like giving. It ain't always what you want to give. It ain't always what you think you got. But the truth of the matter of all that is, they know what they're looking at. You just forgot. See, sometimes we produce fruit, right? And we get very unaware of the value that we are clearly indicating. But the people that are looking at us like, oh, snap, hold on. They can see that fruit. They see them results. Fruit is full results understood in time. They know what they're looking at. You just don't. You the one that don't recognize the man or woman in the mirror. If this gnat don't leave me alone, I promise you. But you the one that don't recognize who it is that's in the mirror. But they know exactly what they're looking at. They know they see that you have something that they need. They just feel it. Meanwhile, you focus on the wrong thing. Here's the key. No fruit is eaten by the tree that produced it. That means no tree eats of its own fruit. So no matter how fruitful you are, there's always going to be somebody wanting that fruit from you that you don't get to eat. And some would say that's not fair, but I would say what's unfair about that? That doesn't even make sense. If you are useful, if you are valuable, if you are able to assist and help and literally change somebody's life with the life-changing circumstances and situations you are experiencing right now, why wouldn't you want that to be useful for somebody else? Because the only other option is to be going through what you're going through in vain. Don't nobody want their pain to be in vain. Nobody wants their time wasted. Nobody wants to go through a situation that is going to cause them to feel like they've wasted their life. No one wants to regret their life. Embrace the fact that the value that you are producing right now is useful. It just don't feel good. Quite honestly, It sucks and it's uncomfortable and I don't like it. But guess what? Somebody else is definitely going to love you because you stayed with it. You endured through it all. There's a verse that says, "Count it all joy, dear brethren, when going through various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, and allow patience to have its full work. Therefore, you will be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Whew. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith without doubting. And it's like, hold on. So the disqualifier of me getting what I desire, what I need, is doubting and having a poor attitude when I'm going through what I'm going through. Choosing not to count it all as joy, but instead counting it all as problems. When you focus on your problems, you will not produce a valuable perspective. If you are not focused on a problem for the purpose of a solution being produced, then you focus on the wrong things. Whenever we see ourselves going through what we're going through and don't nobody else see it, we see it before anybody else. We see it. We have a decision to make. We have a choice to make. You can count it all joy, or you can count it all problems. If you count it as joy, that means you imagine it as something that's going to be useful for you as well as somebody else. But for you in that moment, you got to make sure that you're taking care of you, right? If you are counting your situation as an opportunity for growth, then you get to benefit from it in a way that nobody else can comprehend. See, you're the one that's in that dark place. You're the one that's in that place with all that gold all around you. It's like a gold mine. You're the one that's in there. And there's so much value all around you. All around you. The last thing you want to do is walk out empty-handed. The last thing you want to do is go through what you're going through just to have enough in your pocket to present to somebody in the future, and you didn't even know it was there. Oh, man, I figure I got something for you. Hold on, let me help you out. Like, I got this one when you could have had an abundance of solutions. Do not allow your circumstance right now to distract you from the value that you're supposed to be producing. I don't care what's going on. I understand life ain't easy, but whoop-de-doo that day. You hard. You are way farther beyond where you came into this world as. You are not an infant. You are an adult. If you are an adult, you've gone through some things that a child don't understand. That puts you in the position of a teacher. If you're able to call somebody to learn something, there's value inside of you that you don't even notice there. Did you know that you had gold to offer somebody? Did you know that you had something to offer that would literally change somebody's life if they just simply understood the perspective that you have to provide them with? Did you know if you have scars all on your body, there are people right now with wounds in them exact same places and they don't think there's hope? But you having those scars on you, if you show them to them, they'll literally believe that, man, if you show me your scars, then that's evidence and proof that my wounds can be healed. If my wounds can be healed, then you are the one that's providing me hope. But if I don't see what you have gone through, then shoot, I'm feeling like I'm left out. Ain't nothing for me here. Life is just hard and it's going to be a struggle forever. Why are you doing yourself like that? And why are you doing people like that? You may not see it that way, but the truth is, if you allow your situation that you don't like to cause you to live a life in misery, then you are literally wasting time focusing on the wrong things because you're still here. And if you're still here, then that's evidence that you're still capable of enduring. Why not endure with intentionality versus enduring while being unintentional? That don't help you. It does not help you to be unintentional about your life, because to be unintentional is to be neglectful. What are you neglecting and why? Ask yourself those questions like, you know what, where am I right now? Do I want to be here? And not only do I want to be where I'm at right now, am I satisfied with it? If you're not satisfied, if you know where you are, if you don't want to be there, then ask yourself, what do you want? Like literally, what do you want? And then after you ask yourself, what do you want? Ask yourself, what do I need to do to get that? Some of us want things that have nothing to do with our identities, by the way. Like, I want to have a healthy family. I want to have a healthy body. That ain't got nothing to do with going out and making a whole bunch of money, though. I do want to make a whole bunch of money. Don't get it twisted. But If my greatest desire is to have a healthy family, then that means I need to make sure that I'm healthy, because I can't live my life as a toxic individual and think that I'm providing somebody with some type of antidote. That's not how that works. So if I want to be useful to somebody else, I got to be intentional about my health. That's just that. So if I get intentional about my health, and when I'm talking about health, I'm talking about mental, physical, and spiritual all the way around. I'm not just talking about, what you put in your body, and that's great. That's important. Exercise, that's important. But what are you feeding yourself as it pertains to the media that you are consuming? What are you feeding yourself as it pertains to the media that you're reading, that you're watching, that you're listening to? Is that adding value to your life or somebody else's? Or are you literally just consuming something that's causing you to think toxically? If you need to be healed, if it's healing, then it's helping. If it's not helping, then it's not healing. That means if something is needing to be healed, that means it's unhealthy. To be healthy means to be whole, to be complete. Well, if you're incomplete, there's a problem right there. Because if you haven't been whole and made whole, then that means you need help. You can't always be the one to help yourself. Stop believing that lie. People tell you all the time, you got to help yourself. Listen, I promise you, there are certain things that there are people who have spent their whole lives trying to understand so that they could help you. And if you just got into a situation where you know you need help, sometimes the best thing you need to do is slow down, stop, and ask for help. Stop believing that you can do everything by yourself. Since the beginning of time, it has not been good for man to be alone. Man meaning mankind. Stop doing things by yourself thinking that you're going to get somewhere fast. There's a proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Well, I say, if you want to go fast just to have to turn around and pick things up along the way and go learn, that's a waste of time. Stop going by yourself, because you're not going to go very far. Because there are so many things that you have to learn along the way. You didn't really get very far to begin with if you went alone. It's when you go together, but go with the right people. Go with those who got the same vibe as you. We got the same values, intentions, beliefs, expectations, virtues, identities, boundaries, and etiquette. I can share my PB&J with you, meaning we got the same values, we got the same identity, and we got the same priorities, so I can share my principles, boundaries, and judgments. I know it's a whole lot, but this is how I live my life. And that way I know when I'm messing up, I can get it right. You can do the same. Because I promise you, when you're in a situation that don't feel good, you don't want to stay the same. You literally want to change. You want to change your situation. You want to change your mind. You want to change your pain. You want to change all of that. So you need to make sure that you're in alignment. If you're out of alignment, then you're literally completely in need of help that you probably are going to need somebody else for. And if you need help, then you need to ask. If the help that you need is wisdom, then you need to ask a wise man or woman. If the help that you need is an understanding of something that you don't know nothing about, then you need to ask somebody with understanding. The key to your situation being resolved is to not go through it alone to begin with. Because if you're going through life alone, that is not the type of life you want to live. People who go through life alone are not valuable in their own minds. Because there's no way you can think that you're valuable and you devalue everybody else. How are you going to measure your value? Because you're not useful to anybody else. You think that nobody is any good for you or to you. That doesn't make sense. You see the contradictions here? So when you literally are going through things you don't desire to go through, the best thing you can do is get your mind right. Get your vibe right. And be intentional about how you are choosing to see the situation. Because if you can see the situation appropriately, then you can become the person that you need to be. Then you can do what that person is supposed to be doing. Then you can have what that person has. Then you can give according to what that person has. And then you can receive in response to all of it. Reaping and sowing. Law of reciprocity. But if you don't like what you're receiving, please check what you're giving. If you don't like what you're giving, look at what you have. If you don't like what you have, look at what you're doing. And if you don't like what you're doing, you need to get in the mirror, because the man or woman you become is responsible for it all. Nobody else is responsible for the decisions that we are consistently and continually making. It's us. Now, I'm not the person to be telling you, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. Nah, listen, I'm just telling you, you got this, fam. It's hard. Man, life hard. It is definitely hard, but you got this. You done made it this far. You done made it this far. And it ain't easy. It ain't going to get easier. There are certain things that will get easier. There are certain things that are going to get harder. Why? Because the harder things get, the stronger you get, and the more perspective and understanding that you have. Listen, your perspective is so important. People literally pay these doctors hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get their perspective. They're not telling you it's guaranteed to do anything. They're just giving you an opinion. You go to a doctor, they are giving you an opinion. If you don't like what that doctor says, what they say? Get a second opinion. Well, if you're paying somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars for an opinion, what perspective do you possibly have that's priceless? That's going to prevent somebody from having to go to the doctor. What if you were the doctor? What if your friendship was the medicine that somebody else needed? What if what you were experiencing right now, if somebody knew, they would feel like there's hope for their tomorrow? Like, what if? What if there is value in the situation that you're going through that ain't even sensible for you to even comprehend? And you're just compromising because of your belief about it. But the moment you tell a friend, you find out, oh, this is for you. What if your friendship is the reason you're going through what you're going through? Just so you can be useful to another friend. What if the purpose of your pain is literally to empathize and understand somebody that you committed to for life? What if what you're experiencing right now is going to be useful for somebody that don't even exist yet? Had you ever considered that? Had you ever considered that you're going through things right now that you didn't ask for, but you definitely have the ability to solve somebody's problem in the next 20 to 15 years because of it? 15 to 20 years. You got to be patient and understand life is a garden. It's a garden. And inside of each garden, you have so many different fruit, so many different vegetables, so many different things that are good to eat. The thing about a result is that is when it's a good result, it's edible that everybody else wants. It's edible and everybody else wants it. It's like being in a relationship with somebody that is so perfect in your eyes. They know they're not perfect, but you think, oh man, they can't do no wrong. You know they do wrong, but to you, they can't do no wrong. When you in the relationship with that person, look, life just hit different. And then when it hit different, it caused people to look at you and be like, man, I want that. Oh, you want what I got? Do you know what I had to endure in order to get this? Do you know what I had to go through in order to acquire and ascertain all of these things? It ain't easy. But when you are committed to becoming who it is you meant to become, you'll find yourself doing things you didn't know that you were capable of doing. And if you count it all joy when you're going through it, you see it as an opportunity for literally growing and developing and becoming somebody that is so faithful. You're so faithful and you're so patient. Patience is willful endurance of an undesirable circumstance without a poor attitude, by definition. If you are being patient, that's because you've been through some things. You've hurt, you've endured, and you understand what it feels like to be in somebody else's shoes. Well, look, if you're going through whatever you're going through right now, the best way to solve your situation is to literally just accept. This is where I'm at right now, and there's a purpose behind it. It may not be fulfilled until later. I may not find out what it is until later, but I do know this much. It's worth it. Why? Because you're worth it. And if you're worth it, then all you got to do is function within your purpose. If your purpose is worth it, listen, if you know for sure that your purpose is worth it, and all you got to do is show up for somebody in the future or tomorrow the future, now, if you know it's worth it, then just understand this. You got this. And stay focused. Not only do you got this, not only should you stay focused, but it ain't over. Don't give up. Keep going. It get tough, it get hard, it get difficult, but you got this. Listen, I'm about to shoot on over here to my radio show, and y'all literally understand that no matter what your situation and circumstance is, you got this. You ain't new to this. You true to this. You've been going through what you've been going through. You possibly been through worse, but guess what? None of it broke you, and if it did, it put you literally got put back together as a stronger version of yourself. Y'all stay focused. Take care. And by the way, I love y'all for real. Always.